13 WMAZ News at midday starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Connor Hendricks. Thanks so much for joining us for this new exclusive half hour of 13 WMAZ News Midday on 13 WMAZ Plus. We begin this midday with 30 people who are in the Houston County Jail after a massive drug and gang bust last week. Now, law enforcement's been a little tight-lipped about the operation until now. This morning, they held a press conference to give us an update on that operation. Elizabeth Hunter is there and has the latest.
Warner Robins Police Chief Wayne Fisher went into detail about how the raids were conducted. He listed 12 locations that were searched simultaneously that day. There were 30 people arrested, ranging from age 17 to 53. They are being held at the Houston County Jail. Fisher says they seized almost 25 pounds of marijuana, 6 grams of meth, and almost $28,000. He says this operation was made possible after Warner Robins PD joined the Middle Georgia Gang Task Force in 2024.
What we're going to say here today is not just an action effort from the Warner Robins Police Department. It is from the collective law enforcement body coming together as one strong, unified voice to provide a durable solution to a problem that has been ongoing in and along the Windham Way area.
Fisher says this investigation spanned 21 months and 20 different units played a role. In Warner Robins, Elizabeth Hunter, 13 WMAZ News.
Elizabeth will have more details from that press conference this morning tonight on the news at 5 and 6. In this midday, a heartbreaking story. A Jones County man is dead after getting hit by a train in Macon this morning. Bibb County Coroner Leon Jones says the man was found on the tracks behind some businesses off of Arkwright Road around 4:30 this morning. Jones says the man is 40-year-old Jeffrey Rainey. Rainey was homeless, Jones says. Right now, we're still waiting to learn more about what happened before Rainey was hit. We'll, of course, continue to keep you updated on air and online as we learn more.
Well, a good Monday afternoon to you, Central Georgia. It has been a story of a very chilly start to today, but as we've transitioned into the afternoon hours now, we're finally seeing some more pleasant feeling temperatures. Taking a look at the Georgia National Fairgrounds. Boy, is this a bit of a barren image, as we can see that many vendors, carnival games, and rides have already been broken apart. Not even 12 hours after the Georgia National Fair has come to a conclusion. 75 degrees and mostly sunny skies, the current temperatures and conditions that we see in West Houston County. Still scattered about the low and mid 70s here at the midday hour. Satellite and radar pretty crystal clear. There's more cloud cover over to the east of us, but not really impacting us here in Central Georgia. So a dry and sunny afternoon, high temperature just slightly above average, but the low humidity will continue to make for some pleasant feeling air. And speaking of rain chances, we don't really have too many on the horizon, but we'll go over when your next best shot at seeing some widespread rain is coming up in just a little bit. Connor?
I think it's your favorite term in the morning, an abundance of sunshine, and I certainly am looking forward to it this week. Thanks, Alex. We'll check back in just a few. If you have some errands to run today in North Macon, then you might want to leave a few minutes early. A section of Tucker Road is now closed between Peak Road and Foster Road. That's the part of town where the bridges cross over Rocky Creek. The state says that contractors are starting utility work in the area, and you can expect to detour for about a week. Also, crews started working on Emory Highway and Gray Highway in Macon. That project includes new striping, medians, and traffic signals. You can expect lane closures through December. And fall break's over, and so is the warning period. Starting today, school speed zone cameras in Bibb County are back to issuing tickets. The new cameras went live this fall at Northwoods Academy, plus Bruce, Porter, Lewis, and Martin Luther King Jr. elementaries. The cameras only run during school hours when the lights are flashing. Happening right now, President Trump and other world leaders are signing a peace agreement in the Middle East to celebrate that peace that has put a stop to the fighting in the war in Gaza and brought home the Israeli hostages. Natalie Brand has the latest on that deal and the president's involvement in the agreement from the White House.
Reunited after 2 years of captivity. The 20 living hostages released today are finally embracing their families. Cheers erupted in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv as crowds gathered to watch coverage of the hostages' return and President Trump's speech before Israel's parliament.
This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God.
President Trump, who helped broker phase 1 of the ceasefire deal, used the address to lay out his hopes for lasting peace in the Middle East and the future of Gaza.
The total focus of Gazans must be on restoring the fundamentals of stability, safety, dignity, and economic development so they can finally have the better life that their children really do deserve after all these decades of horror.
As part of the truce, Israel is releasing nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, some of whom were greeted by throngs of people in the West Bank and Gaza. Humanitarian aid is also expected to surge into the war-torn region.
It's peace in the Middle East, and everybody said it's not possible to do. And it's going to happen, and it is happening as before your very eyes.
President Trump and leaders from more than 20 nations are attending a summit in Egypt to celebrate the deal, but also discuss the more challenging next phases that will address governance of Gaza and disarming Hamas.
The president just signed that peace agreement just minutes ago. Neither Israel or Hamas sent representatives to Egypt. Right now, some regions of the U.S. are coping with some dangerous weather. Parts of the Southwest are flooded from the aftermath of tropical moisture, and some other impactful weather today is along the East Coast. A powerful and dangerous nor'easter is slamming Atlantic states today. That's a cyclone with northwest winds that push water towards the coast. Authorities report multiple people had to be rescued in the Carolinas yesterday, and today forecasters say the Mid-Atlantic and New England coastlines are in danger. The National Weather Service says that there's a flood risk in some areas, and that'll remain for a few days now. FlightAware reports more than 7,000 delays yesterday, especially at airports in New York and Boston. Today is a federal holiday, Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. That means you can't go everywhere that you might expect to on a typical Monday. The big thing to know is you won't be getting any mail today. Post offices are closed and deliveries are paused until tomorrow. UPS and FedEx are both working today, though. It is also a bank holiday today, so Bank of America and Wells Fargo branches are closed. The same for Robbins Financial Credit Union. Online banking and ATMs are still good to go, though. And federal government offices will stay closed even if they have stayed open during the federal government shutdown. State and local offices will also be closed as well. And in less than about a half hour, Macon's Planning and Zoning Board is set to vote on a 90-day pause on new vape shops. They say it's part of an effort to protect young people from what they call a growing epidemic.
They're at the epicenter of a national health epidemic at this point. But, if our state legislature, doesn't step up and, kind of regulate these a little more responsibly, the Planning and Zoning Commission will use our legal authority, to protect the community.
Officials estimate there are nearly 70 shops in the area. Now, the existing shops won't be forced to close, but any new ones or ones that move will have to follow the new regulations. Current shop owners like Vicki Wood are a little nervous, even though she's watched the industry change dramatically.
Before we opened up, though, Macon Vape opened up. We were the only two vape shops that we knew of in town. And then all of a sudden, they were popping up everywhere. And we even have competition right down here.
During that pause, commissioners will draft stricter rules on where vape shops can open, including how close they can be to schools, parks, and each other. That meeting starts at 1:30 this afternoon at the Macon Mall Conference Room. If approved, then Macon Bibb will join vape shop pauses in Dublin and Milledgeville. Also happening today, Macon Bibb County is hosting a grand opening for its newest library branch. The Kathy Ivy Community Library honors the longtime library board member who also led the Friends of the Library book sale. She passed earlier this year, but leaders say the new branch will help carry on her legacy. The grand opening is happening again in less than 30 minutes at 1 o'clock. The library is located at 5494 Forsyth Road. There's parking and shuttle service available at St. Andrews and Martha Bowman churches on Bash Road. Starting tomorrow, you have the chance to cast your ballot early for the November election. Voters statewide will have a chance to pick candidates for 2 Public Service Commission seats. That's the board in charge of regulating utilities. And some Central Georgia cities and counties will hold local elections as well and decide on some various issues. First up, Warner Robins has a mayoral race between incumbent LaRonda Patrick and challenger Fabian Velasquez. Perry voters will also pick a mayor between incumbent Mayor Randall Walker and challenger Chris Smith. There are also mayoral races in Milledgeville and Fort Valley. Early voting starts tomorrow and goes through the 31st. Again, Election Day is November 4th. in Houston County. You can vote early at the Board of Elections in Perry and at the Houston Health Pavilion in Warner Robins as well. And a new proposal on the ballot in Bibb County could raise millions for school safety upgrades. Bibb County schools are asking voters to renew a 1-cent sales tax. It's called an East Blast. If approved, then the penny sales tax could raise up to $250 million over 5 years. District leaders say it will fund campus upgrades, safety improvements, and new technology. You can learn more about what you'd be paying for at one of the informational forums this month. Here's when they are. There's one today at Howard High School and tomorrow at Rutland. Also, next Monday, October 20th, the meeting will be at Central High School, and then the next Thursday, the 23rd, at Northeast. All of these meetings run from 6 to 7 p.m. So to come this afternoon, mid-October is Menopause Awareness Month. We'll tell you what experts say everyone should know. Stick with us. Thanks for sticking with us on this new extended edition of 13 WMAZ News Midday. October is Menopause Awareness Month, and more than 1.3 million women in the U.S. go through menopause every year. Now, until recently, menopause and the time just before it called perimenopause wasn't talked about much. But experts say that awareness can help people through this natural part of life. Mandy Gaither has 5 facts an OBGYN says everyone should know.
It's a natural part of aging. Menopause is officially reached when there's been 12 months without a menstrual cycle and no other underlying medical condition.
Every woman who starts having a period is going to go through menopause.
OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says the first thing to know about this phase in life is that it's different for every woman. She says the transition often begins between ages 45 and 58 in a time called perimenopause, with the average age being around 52 years old.
The ovaries stop ovulating, stop making hormone, and it's that drop or change in hormones that can really lead to symptoms that for some women can really affect your day-to-day life.
Next, some of those symptoms can include hot flashes, night sweats, reduced bladder control, weight gain, irritability, joint pain, and dry skin. Third, menopause increases risk for some health problems, including heart disease and bone loss.
For patients who are in their mid-50s and their periods have stopped, that's when I try to get a baseline bone density scan to see where we're starting, because as your estrogen stays low, you can lose more bone.
Fourth, self-care can help ease the burden of symptoms. That includes regular exercise, getting good quality sleep, and maintaining a healthy weight. Reddy says limiting caffeine and alcohol may also make a difference. And finally, there are hormonal and non-hormonal treatments available.
Don't suffer. Come to your healthcare provider and have a conversation.
Dr. Reddy says there is some evidence that at the age of which someone hits menopause is hereditary, so a daughter's menopausal age may be similar to her mother's. But it's also important to note that genetics isn't the only factor that influences when some women will go through menopause.
Kicking off a pleasant stretch of weather as we go into a new work week, but we're getting into the time frame where we definitely could use some rain. When's our next best shot at it? I'll have that answer coming up.
Thanks for sticking with us on this new overtime edition of 13 WMAZ News Midday. And I was looking at our sky camera over there in the Weather Center, and that is just like, I call it like a Toy Story kind of a sky, if that makes any sort of sense.
No,
like,
that is exactly right. That is the absolute most perfect adjective I've had to describe the weather that we're having. Because, I mean, take a look at it. You have a few scattered clouds. It looks like a very picturesque image over downtown Macon. And it must be slightly warm outside if Willie and the Wasp Gang are having some fun by our sky cam up here on top of Atrium Health Navicent. 74 degrees, so not too warm for your liking, feeling mighty pleasant, and the dew point temperatures continue to be somewhere in the upper 50s or right around the 60-degree mark, which you'll see in just one moment. But temperature-wise, scattered about the 70s, have some low 70s like in Warner Robins and Eastman, mostly mid-70s, and now starting to see a couple of 77s and 78 at the warmest up in Putnam County this afternoon. Here's a look at your dew point temperatures. So yes, a little bit of light green, but not overly swampy by any means. Overall, this is just the teeniest, tiniest bit of humidity, so it's really not going to influence anything in the way of rain chances, and your actual temperatures are going to feel exactly what they read. Here's a look at the satellite and radar picture. All clear here in central Georgia, besides a few scattered clouds here and there that we just got an image of over downtown Macon. We are expected to peak somewhere around the 80 to 81 degree mark during that warmest window of the afternoon. Then as we transition closer to dinner time, conditions getting a lot better, down into the low 70s at 7 p.m. and we are going to continue that trend downward into another chilly start to tomorrow morning. But in terms of rain, future view is very, very uneventful over the next 3 days. Take a look at Tuesday. Looks like it's crystal clear here in central Georgia, so not seeing any of those scattered clouds like we currently do, just plenty of deep blue sky all across the southeast. And maybe a few passing clouds here and there on Wednesday, but overall, like I said, not much to write home about. Nothing in the way of rain chances for the next 3 days. But it is a big game up in Atlanta. If you have any plans to go watch the Falcons take on the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football, the roof is going to be open at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I don't blame them because it is going to feel great. Around 72 by kickoff time at 7:15, but going to be some hoodie weather as you're heading home, temperatures down into the 60s. So taking a look at your humidity over the next couple of days, still remaining in that comfortable range, and we'll actually get a reinforcing push of even more drier air between Thursday and Friday before we start to bring more moisture back into the forecast as we transition into the end of the weekend. So going into Friday, it looks like maybe a few passing clouds here and there, but then all eyes are on Sunday. What time will our rain chances come in? Will they be as widespread as the GFS model is hinting at, or will it be more so a broken line of showers as we go into the later hours and wrap up the weekend on Sunday night? Right now, I have about a 20% chance of rain. We still need to see some better agreement, but between now and then, there's nothing interrupting any outdoor plans that you may have.
All right, thanks, Alex. On the other side of the break, from a runaway Halloween decoration to some pets needing a rescue. After the break, we're going to show you some of the top trending videos you may have missed. Welcome back. Pumpkins and pets need a little help after getting stuck in perilous positions. Patrick Cornell has a look at those rescues, and take a look at this.
In Parma Heights, Ohio, police pulled up on a pumpkin trying to flee.
I was kind of like following it, and it kept blowing away. And when I went to grab it over here, it took off.
This festive fugitive rolled down the street before officers got their hands on it, but this large jack-o'-lantern wasn't going down easily.
We're currently struggling with it right now.
These pumpkins are becoming a problem. You may remember last year when a similar giant gourd got loose in nearby Bay Village, Ohio, seemingly swallowing an officer whole. As for our latest orange escapee, police were finally able to wrangle and mostly deflate the Halloween decor, then, with a whole heap of effort, pushing and pulling it through the door of a patrol car.
All right, yeah.
With the thing safely secured, officers drove it home so it could go on display for the rest of the holiday. Another set of first responders swooping in for a rescue in Arizona, where a poor pup took a tumble while out on a camping trip. Unable to walk, rescuers dropped down into the canyon to save the day. With a couple of reassuring scritches and scratches in a special canine harness, rescuers carefully lifted the dog and its owner up to the safety of their helicopter, where they rushed it to an emergency vet to be checked out. And finally, check out this kitty cat calamity trapped underneath a car. Well, we think.
Is it actually stuck or is it like just chilling there?
Fair question. Cats are curious creatures. Officers say this furball in question simply dashed under the car at a stoplight and slid up underneath, and so the rescuers had to do the same to coax out the cat.
Come on, kitty. Come on. It's okay, baby. It's okay.
Finally, getting a hand on the animal and plucking the pesky rabble-rouser from the undercarriage. After a safe extraction, the kitten was taken to local animal services.
I think we've had to do some similar rescues here at 13 WMAZ with all the stray cats that live out in our parking lot, though I don't think we have had to do any pumpkin rescues. All right, stick with us. We'll be back with one last look at your weather when we come back.
Chilly mornings, pleasant afternoons, and plenty of sunshine each day throughout the work week. Then as we go into the weekend, finally Sunday, maybe a chance at some widespread rain. Still got to do some fine tuning with the timing of that front because the timing is going to really determine how much rainfall we receive, and hopefully we can get our fair share of rainfall to alleviate the dry conditions that have settled in.
Can certainly use the rain for the drought monitor, but I will be delighted to have this beautiful week ahead.
You and me both. It's going to be amazing for outdoor plans.
All right, thanks for joining us on this extended hour of 13 WMAZ News Midday.
We'll see you back here for more news at 5 and 6.